like my husband, operates on someone even though they don't have insurance, and then has to sue health insurance companies to get paid for the work that he's been trained his whole life to do.
Emanuel Hostin, the husband of The View host Sunny Hostin, has been accused of widespread insurance fraud, and Sunny basically admitted to it on camera. Let's talk about it.
The true sign of the apocalypse is someone that dumb has a law degree. So that makes Sunny Hostin, who thinks climate change caused the solar eclipse, the dumbest of them all.
It started like any other smug Tuesday on The View. Sunny Hostin, flawlessly styled, voice dripping with self-assured righteousness, was locked and loaded to deliver another sermon to America. The topic didn't matter. She could moralize anything into oblivion. From grocery store etiquette to global injustice, Sunny had something to say. But this time, she wasn't the judge. She was the defendant. Because behind her carefully curated image, a legal bombshell had detonated, and it had her husband's name all over it. Dr. Emanuel Hostin, the orthopedic surgeon she'd so proudly spoken of, is now at the center of one of New York's largest healthcare fraud lawsuits.
Dr. Emanuel Manny Hostin, an orthopedic surgeon and husband of The View co-host Sunny Hostin, is accused in December lawsuit fraudulently billing insurance. By the way, this is a Daily Caller story I'm reading. The lawsuit alleges Hostin knowingly provided fraudulent medical and other healthcare services in exchange for kickbacks and or compensation, and names him among nearly 200 defendants in one of New York's largest RICO cases.
3 years, that's when I discovered Instacart, and I give them a big tip because they don't always pay their people well, and it's so that's been an issue, I think, for the company. But man, you can get toiletries, you can get fire logs.
Fire logs? She had to tell the audience that she tips big because even she knows she sounds insufferable.
A $450 million web of deceit, kickbacks, and fake billing practices. And the best part? Sunny may have accidentally admitted to it on live TV. Oh, and Greg Gutfeld? He's feasting on this mess like it's Thanksgiving dinner. If hypocrisy had a face, it just got subpoenaed. And the court of public opinion? It's already in session.
But The View is a victim of the sunk cost fallacy. You know, how can you now speak the truth and when for years you've been telling lies after lie after lie? Now you're carrying this big bag of rocks around you because it's too harmful for their ego to admit that we really were dishonest. And they could be honest. All they would have to say is, look, we hate Trump so much. We were willing to lie about Joe Biden because we felt he was preferable. We thought our lying and our cover-up was on your behalf.
I want to hit myself in the face so I can feel something. You know, it's like so boring. He's like, yeah, I like Instacart, but don't worry, I tip the poors.
This wasn't just a PR slip. It was a self-inflicted wound with legal consequences. During a casual conversation on The View, Sunny dropped a sentence that sent Twitter into overdrive. My husband operates on people without insurance, then sues health companies to get paid. No follow-up, no walk back, just a smug smile and a nod as if she'd just said something noble. But to anyone with a basic understanding of law or common sense, what she described wasn't a heartfelt struggle. It was a setup for fraud. Legal analysts watched in stunned silence. Did she really just describe the mechanism for what prosecutors are now calling a coordinated multi-million-dollar scam? Yes! Yes, she did. And it aired in high definition, right between discussions about oat milk and midterm elections.
They said that Gutfeld talks about you all the time.
Who is he? Really, who is he?
I don't watch the show.
He has a show.
I don't watch the
never
show.
heard of him.
Yeah.
In a single sentence, Sunny may have handed investigators the kind of unscripted statement that defense lawyers dread. It wasn't a confession in the legal sense, but it was definitely enough to raise eyebrows and questions. Serious ones, the kind that don't go away with a PR statement. Now let's unpack the scale of this alleged fraud. Dr. Emanuel Hostin, along with nearly 200 others, is named in a civil RICO lawsuit that reads like a Hollywood crime thriller. Prosecutors claim these defendants engaged in massive insurance scams by billing for fake services, exaggerating treatments, and creating a pipeline of illicit compensation. It's one of the largest healthcare-related RICO cases in New York history. And it's not just about Emanuel doing a few shady procedures, it's about a full-blown operation, allegedly designed to bleed insurance companies dry. The documents accuse him of knowingly participating in a fraud ring, using his respected title as a surgeon to create the illusion of legitimacy. Patients were allegedly funneled through a system that had more red flags than a dictator's parade. The money, filtered, hidden, and, according to rumors, even offshored. And here's the kicker. Legal insiders say Sunny's name may not be in the paperwork, but her on-air comments could easily be entered into the record. Not as a defendant, but as a witness whose statements directly align with the scheme's strategy. That's not a good look for a woman who lectures America on law and order every morning at 11 a.m. Greg Gutfeld lives for this. Nothing delights him more than watching sanctimony go up in flames, and Sonny's scandal is his Michelin star meal. On his show, he didn't just report the story, he carved it up like a holiday ham, dripping with sarcasm and glazed with irony. Sonny Hostin gives hot takes from the moral high ground while ducking legal subpoenas. He smirked, pouring gasoline on a fire that was already raging.
Sausage maker Johnsonville is recalling more than 42,000 pounds of pork sausage for possible contamination with plastic fibers. Fortunately, authorities were able to track all 42,000 pounds to a single location in New York City.
He compared The View to a sanctimony factory, calling out the hypocrisy of a show that preaches morality while ignoring its own rot. And then he really turned up the heat. He mocked Sonny's lifestyle, her elitist tone, her Insta lectures on social justice, all while her husband allegedly played financial chess with the healthcare system. If hypocrisy were a wine, he quipped, The View would own the vineyard. For Gutfeld, this wasn't just a story, it was vindication, and he made sure every punchline hit harder than the last.
Well, she's the Republican one at the table, but I just think as a libertarian, I'm always looking to find common ground with other people because nobody really shares my politics. So I find some common ground in The View where she thinks I'm funny and I agree.
If Gutfeld was the chef, Kat Timpf was the scalpel. With her signature calm brutality, she cut deeper than any headline could. This isn't just a scandal, she said, it's a mirror, and The View doesn't like what it sees. Her analysis? Devastating. She pointed out how quickly the show would have exploded if a conservative host were even tangentially linked to fraud. But Sonny? Silence. Not even a 5-second disclaimer. Kat's biggest blow came in the form of quiet truth. She didn't rant. She didn't shout. She simply labeled the scandal exactly what it was, a masterclass in hypocrisy. And with her signature smirk, she reminded everyone watching, if this were anyone else, it would be a week-long headline. But when it's one of their own, they dim the lights, pretend nothing happened, and serve up distractions. Behind the curtain, it was chaos. Producers whispering into headsets, assistants burning cue cards, and execs on the phone with legal teams. The View, a show built on confrontation, was suddenly allergic to conflict. The word fraud became taboo. Hosts danced around the elephant in the room like it wasn't stomping on their ratings. When the topic came up, cut to commercial. When asked about Emanuel, we're focusing on positivity today. It was damage control at its laziest. The show that once crucified political opponents for a misspoken phrase suddenly couldn't find its voice. And Sonny? She looked rattled. The confident panelist was replaced by a woman blinking too often, speaking too carefully, and praying the story would just disappear. Spoiler alert, it won't. Credibility is currency in daytime TV. And The View? It just went bankrupt. The show has spent years positioning itself as the voice of female empowerment, progressive values, and moral righteousness, but that brand doesn't survive a scandal like this. Not when the Queen of Ethics is connected to a lawsuit that reads like an FBI sting. Viewers took notice, ratings dipped, social media buzzed with outrage and mockery. Hashtags like Doubter Sunnyside fraud and View hypocrisy trended within hours. Fans demanded transparency, critics demanded accountability, and all The View offered was a weak smile and a new recipe segment. The audience isn't stupid. They saw what was happening, and worse, they saw who was avoiding it. Let's make one thing clear. If a conservative host's spouse were involved in a $450 million fraud case, it would lead every hour of every show. But when it's Sonny Hostin, crickets. Selective outrage is The View's house specialty, and this week they served it ice cold. Even Kat pointed it out. If this were Meghan McCain, they'd be holding an exorcism on set. Instead, when it's one of their own, it's love, light, and legal silence. They don't even pretend to care about consistency anymore, and that, more than the lawsuit, is what's driving audiences away. People don't expect perfection, but they do expect fairness, and The View just proved they're only fair when it suits them. Greg Gutfeld wasn't done. He ended the segment with a gut punch. If I were connected to something like this, I'd be tarred and feathered by breakfast. But Sonny, she's still giving speeches about ethics. The hypocrisy didn't just reek, it marinated. It was baked into every segment, every script, every phony smile. The story revealed more than a legal scandal. It exposed the crumbling foundation beneath a show that claims to be America's moral compass. And viewers, they're watching the whole thing collapse in real time. With popcorn in hand, Sonny Hostin built a reputation on principles, ethics, and legal expertise. But now, with a $450 million lawsuit swirling around her family, That image is in tatters. The View has gone quiet, the outrage has gone missing, and the silence? It's louder than any monologue they've ever aired. This scandal isn't going away, it's not a blip, it's a turning point for Sunny, for The View, and for every public figure who thinks they can sell morality while living in contradiction. And as Gutfeld and Timpf continue to roast this mess on national TV, the big question remains, who's next? Drop a comment if you're ready for part 2, because this story is just getting started.